Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is another edition of the Filmmaker's Life, which is a series of interviews that I started right when COVID happened. And I thought, oh my gosh, all my friends who are usually running around the world or they're on set 18 hours a day, I can get them finally, So I started doing these interviews and then we've enjoyed them so much. We keep going. And the purpose of the interviews is really to talk to filmmakers who are getting far along the path. They've already made features or they've written whatever it is that they've done in their careers, so that other filmmakers can learn from their experience. So today, I'm very pleased to introduce to you Chris Hines. Chris is a current client of mine, and he's also got a lot of interesting information to give to filmmakers about marketing, because he started that business before he even started making films. So Chris, welcome, and I look forward to learning more about your work. So my first question in this series is always the same. The question is, when did you first know that you were a filmmaker?
When did I first know that I was a filmmaker? Well, I had the desire really early on. My father was in the military and we were stationed in Athens, Greece. And there was really not much to do, so we went to see movies all the time. It was kind of an escape. It was 25 cents at the time. To go to a movie.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so that's when I really started loving story. And then, like a lot of folks in high school, we did, VHS tapes and Super 8 tapes. And my first short that I ever did was a Super 8. So, I mean, I knew.
Now, I always have to slow everybody down because I have to ask questions. So when you saw those movies in Athens, were they dubbed or did they have subtitles? How did you understand the movies?
Well, these were American films. It was a movie theater on the base. So they were American.
Yes, on the military base. And they brought, so you probably were seeing the most up-to-date movies then.
Well, yeah, relatively up to date, but we did see some of the blockbusters outside of the base in the Greek theaters, like Star Wars and Bruce Lee's Game of Death. Like we saw those, and those were English, but they had subtitles, Greek subtitles.
Yeah, when I lived in Spain, I would go to the movie theater, and I was very surprised when I came back and everybody was talking about this movie about this alien, and the alien would go like this.
Yes.
Something or other that I didn't know what they were talking about, because in Spain it was teléfono, mi casa. And they would say it in English, and I was like, what are they talking about? What movie are they talking about? So I just wondered if you saw them in English. So, and then you started in Super 8. I started in Super 8. I love Super 8 so much. I'm just so sad that we don't make Super 8 movies anymore.
Yes, the last time we were, I think in the 90s, we were still doing some Super 8. There was a company in California that would develop it and process it for us.
Yep.
But I haven't seen it anywhere lately. I don't know it's probably somewhere out there, but it was wonderful.
I think it is. Yeah. What did you like most about Super 8?
Well, the expense, it was cheaper, a lot cheaper, and I was used to, my father had we had a projector, Super 8 projector. So we watched movies like that a lot of times, or shorts. It was really shorts, not really whole movies that we watched. And I just like that, you're just working with the film and playing with it. And, but really the expense and the accessibility at that time was.
What I liked most about it was that it was in 3-minute reels. And so my first film class, we were taught to make films edited in the camera. So they had to be 3 minutes, because that's how long a reel was. And then we had to, the first film I ever made had to be the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, water, and had to have the 4 elements in the 3 minutes edited in the camera. And I just feel as though that is an exercise that teaches you so much.
That's great. I think the first film we made as in our class, it was in the 5th grade. I remember we were in Greece, and it was a Super 8, and it was it was like a werewolf. We had this we had this guy that he was going to turn into a werewolf, so we had this huge sheet that we covered him up, and the whole class participated. Then when they pulled it away, he had this mask on. But yeah, that was it. I would love to have that now to see, just to check it out to see what it was. But that was in the 5th grade. That was when we started, and I knew that, this is something that I would like to do. I'd like to
do. And then did you pursue it at all, or did you just set it to one side and come back later?
Yeah, I've always kind of participated like a hobby. When I went to college, I thought, am I going to pursue film? But I was really practical. I said that, I need to go into like business or marketing just so I have a steady paycheck. And but I always wrote. I always wrote. And so when I graduated and I moved to Atlanta, there was just a burgeoning scene. So I got involved with, your network of people. Everyone was making shorts at the time in Atlanta. And, but we were all just making shorts, and we were not able to monetize that. And I thought, well, we've got to, if we want to really do this and do it right, we need to monetize it. So that's when I started getting into producing, or learning about producing, learning about, what it takes to, do a feature, to like what.
Weren't you glad you had a degree in business when you decided to produce a feature?
Yes.
It's so funny when I meet, it's so common. I meet filmmakers who went a different way, so business or marketing or something. And then when they come back to film, they're like, wow, that was really valuable that I had those skills.
Absolutely. I was lucky. I had a mentor tell me pretty early to, to learn about accounting and learn about taxes. And so I worked at H&R Block for a while. This has nothing really to do with filmmaking, but I learned about taxes, learned about business and how everything works together. And that does apply to producing and filmmaking. And so, and just learned a lot about, I was good with numbers. So, fast forward when
I think H&R Block is great filmmaking experience.
Yeah, well, it's great, just life experience to see how, everything is categorized, and to honestly, to know how far you can push things. I like gray area. I don't,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like.
I never learned that from doing my taxes.
Well, I do. I try to. I try to get my accountant. He's more black and white than is, but ask for forgiveness, not permission.
I see what you're saying, but that's really good. It's just that people think that filmmaking is something to do with being artistic or being creative, and it's not only that. It's got all these other elements. And if you can do taxes, wow, that is really useful if you want to produce films.
Yes, and especially that came in handy with here in Georgia. We have the really good tax credit, film tax credit.
Oh, yeah.
I've been able to take advantage of, and to be able to explain that to investors and explain it to people, break it down so they can see how it works. So like with the section, 181 and all that. A lot of people are not completely clear on how that works, but and it is good, but it's not like the greatest thing ever. It could be good.
Did you use 181 on your first feature?
I did not.
Okay.
No. Well, we were kind of in between, that for a long time, it didn't get approved, and it was almost expiring. And then it's always like a last minute thing. They'll say, okay, we're going to renew that and back it up several years. And we could probably go back, because we did declare, because one of the rules was you had to declare it and that was it. You declared, yes, I'm going to use it. But we didn't take advantage of it. But I have some producing partners on other projects that they have taken advantage of it.
Okay. Well, so when you decided it was time to think about making your first feature, how did you make those decisions? What did you decide to do?
Well,
did you decide, like everybody else, to make a horror film?
I did not. I did not. I went completely the opposite direction and made a faith-based film. But funny enough, you kind of market those the same way, because there's a niche, a big niche audience. And so it's very similar in that, and from marketing terms. But well, I had a friend of mine that was doing a commercial for one of a company I was with, and he said, you should do a movie about small groups, like church small groups. And I'm sure, like everyone, like when they find out you're a producer, everybody has an idea, and they say, well, you should do this, and you should do this, and you do this, and you go make the film and raise the money, and then we'll split it. I'm like, okay, right. But I told him, I said, that's a good idea. You should go write that. And he did. He came back 10 days later with a treatment.
No. With a treatment. That's great.
With a treatment.
I had never heard of small groups before I came across your movie. So okay. Where does this term small groups come from? Where is it? Where does it belong?
It's in a lot of the modern churches now. They have small, it's like a church group, or I mean, maybe like a men's group, but it's co-ed groups. It could have women's groups, but it's basically groups, Christian groups that meet usually once a week. They get together, and they usually will talk about something in the Bible, or they'll have some topic, and they go over that. And it's gotten really, really popular, and a lot of churches are growing through small groups. Wow. I think there's something like 50 million people in small groups when I did the research.
Wow. Because when I saw your movie, I Googled it, and I couldn't find anything about it.
For the small groups, you mean?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Well, just in general, like, what are small groups? What is this about? I couldn't find anything, but
yeah, there's a lot. I think small groups it's tough to Google that, because I've done that I've set up Google alerts for when it says small group movie, and I get something every day, but it's like a small group of soldiers or small group of this. It's never about. So I think if journalists were talking today. Yes. But if you do like Christian small groups, or there are a lot of times Bible study, they'll call it Bible study. But I would happen to be in a small group at the time when my friend told me this, and so he came back with this treatment, and it was really good. And so he wanted to write the screenplay, and he's a very creative guy, but writing a screenplay it's a bear if you don't know what you're doing. And so I got him together with another friend of mine that he helps develop screenwriters. That's what he's done in LA for years. And so they worked for about 18 months and multiple drafts. I don't know if they have like 18 or 20 drafts. And they finally got it to a place where it was really good, because we were thinking a budget was going to be around $1 million or so. And I said, well, if it's going to be, $1 million, it's got to be worth $1 million. It's got to be. And so they finished it, and we sent it out to some people, and it got really good marks. And so then we just started, put together put together investment papers, the PPM, private placement memorandum, and then we just hit the road, went out and started pitching to people. So,
I know that you have a very marketing brain. So when you just said the number of, there are 50 million people in small groups, I was just like, wow. I mean, that's an audience, right? Yeah. That's a niche. That's an audience. So when you went out and started looking for investors, were there a lot of people that you met who were interested in financing a project that could reach that particular audience? Did you find investors who were very connected to the church and to small groups, maybe their own small groups and things like that?
Yes, we did. I think really helped us with the fundraising was that it was a faith-based film, and that was very important for a majority of the investors. And of course they wanted, to bring money and make a profit, but also it was not the only thing. And a lot of times that wasn't even the most important thing. They really there were a few guys that they bought some shares and they gave us a check and they had tears in their eyes and they would say, if I get the money back, it's great, but if you change anybody or save anyone's soul, that's what it means to me. And it's like, okay, that's a lot of pressure, but it did, and we're very happy with the outcome, and they were as well. They're ecstatic with it.
And how did you, once you had made the film, what particular marketing ideas did you come up with? Because it's one thing to say there are 50 million people in small groups, and there's an entirely different thing to say, how do I reach them?
Yeah. Well, we did. There's a lot of stuff we did. We did hire PR companies to help. And that did help. It's hard to measure how that helped, but we did get interviews, so that's good.
Were they a specialist in faith-based work, Christian work? Did they have a specialization in that arena?
Yes. Yeah, they did. They sure did. And they we didn't have any like a talent or really famous celebrities in the film. That certainly would have helped at the time, especially with the PR folks, because they were able to get they could get us on. We were on several television shows, like talk shows kind of thing, but we could have really gone like huge shows.
If you'd had bigger names.
Bigger names. Yeah. But we did a lot of marketing on social media. Lots of social media. We got a trailer cut, but then we have someone that cut it, made so many different clips, and they understood the audience. They understood about small groups. They loved it. First of all, they were just absolutely they loved what we were doing. Because they were a Christian filmmaker, and they loved what we've done. So that helped tremendously, because then you can quantify and see all the numbers, And when we put our first trailer out, we were getting. What do you
mean by that? What do you mean you can quantify and see all the numbers? What do you mean by
you can see how many people are viewing it and how many comments they're making, and you can, and also what it costs to reach that. What. It's kind of a game. You want to pay a little less than you have to get more sales in there. But before it came out, we put out the trailer and we were getting thousands and thousands of hits, and people were wanting to see that, so we were hitting the right group. We were hitting the right, and then we did some, I bought like some mailing lists. There's a weekly newsletter called Small Groups.
No.
And so I said, well, we have to reach out to them, and so that we captured people like that. And then we also found organizations like the folks that homeschool their children.
Oh yeah.
A big percentage of them are, for whatever reason, they're Christians, right? And so we got with a huge organization that they shared our information, they shared their list with us. So we sent that out, and that helped. That certainly helped push all the numbers. But I think, social media, and then, we also, it's unique with the faith-based film is we could do church. We do sell church licenses. We could go to churches and show and have people come and talk about it. And, when we did our screen tests, we picked like 4 churches that are big that we're not part of, because we wanted unbiased information.
Oh,
So
okay.
so we traveled a little bit to show it and do surveys, and we actually went back and had to reshoot whole weekend, like a few months later. We had got everybody together, had to do the hair and all that, recreate stuff, but after the screenings after that was a marked improvement. One of our characters wasn't fully developed, and so we went back and filmed that. So
you got that from the screenings? You learned that character wasn't fully developed. You got that from the screenings?
Yes, when we asked them to rate certain things, and one of the characters, it was the female lead. They just didn't quite. They wanted more. They wanted more from her, and so we shot 2 more scenes with her, and it turned out great. It turned out great. Yeah,
that's really great. And that was smart to go where people didn't know you.
Yes, because yeah, if we go to our church, it's like, oh yeah, we love it. It's great. Yeah.
So you said a very interesting word there. You said church licenses. So what do you mean by church licenses?
Well, so if a church wants to show our film, they have to purchase the right to do that. So, depending on how big the church is depending on how much we would charge for that.
I see.
And so, and I can tell you, I don't know exactly, but I mean, there's so many churches, around there. There's just, thousands and thousands of churches, especially in the Southeast. I mean, everywhere you look, there's church.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So when you were doing your sales conversations with churches, what was that process? How did you go through that process? Did you just cold call, or did you show up to church on Sunday? How did you do it?
No, it was cold calling and also getting referrals, because we thought naively that, oh yeah, they're gonna love it. It's a Christian film, they're gonna love it. But
they'll just hand over the money.
Yeah, right, exactly. But there are, I could say this because I'm a Christian filmmaker now. There's a lot of horrible faith films out there. They're just not really well done. I mean, the heart's in the right place, but it's and so that's what a lot of the pastors and the people that we're speaking to, that's what they think when you say, hey, I want to show you our film.
They had a biased expectation already.
Big. And so that was a little more difficult than we thought to get through. But once we sent them a screener or let them see it, then they laugh and then they cry and then they say, this is I love this, so that usually works really well when we do it.
Did you have other materials along with the film as well?
Yeah,
Are there any educational materials or anything like that?
We did, but not right away. I think maybe like a year and a half later after our release, we got a popular in this niche podcaster to come. We flew her here to Athens, Georgia, and we did like a 6-series study, like Bible study, and we'd show a scene from the film and to see what they're talking about, and then we kind of talked about it and discussed it. And so it can be used as a small group, like a 6-week small group study for small groups. They can, it's just another way that they can, because usually in a small group, you get together and you have there may be something about marriage, like you do a thing about marriage and how it relates to the Bible. And so we did one of those. We did a series, and that's done really well. And as I've learned, one tidbit, when we have a Shopify store for this movie, smallgroupmovie.com, and what we do is we can sell packages. You want to get that per unit cost up, right? Not just sell one movie. So if you have a whole library of films, you're going to do a lot better. You could say, oh, let's buy 3, if you buy 3 films for a little less money for the consumer, you're making a lot more money. So we partnered with some other Christian filmmakers and said, hey, let's, we'll give you X amount of dollars per DVD or whatever. And this is for all hard copies. For DVDs, people still buy DVDs, you believe it or not.
Yes.
we've
Oh,
done,
I know exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So we've done really well with the DVDs. But
Uh,
we
So
also
you're basically offering more than one movie now. You've teamed up with other Christian filmmakers, and now you're offering like you're your own distribution company.
yeah, sort of. We cut out. We do have a distributor, but we cut out our rights for our website. Like you said,
On the
hey,
website, yeah.
right. Because I'm a marketing guy. Like I can get to the people, you know. And we did. Right now we're not teaming. The other people ran out of inventory, so we'll sell. We'll sell packs. I just had an order for about 150 DVDs. A pastor saw it and he wants to give it out for Christmas this year. So, and so I did cut him a deal. He actually drove over to my house and to get it. So I was like, okay, sure, you know, absolutely.
Great.
But yeah, it's been, you know, I wish we wouldn't have spent so much money in the first, you know, at the beginning. It is a high budget, but we traveled, we shot some in Guatemala because in the movie they go on a mission trip to Guatemala. So we, you know, took our crew to Guatemala and filmed and all that. That was exciting, but it's some of the best stuff in the film too, that the Guatemala footage.
Wow. Yeah, nice. So are you planning on making another faith-based film? Do you think do you think that you've found a really good niche that you could continue in? What do you think about?
Yeah, I certainly would if the opportunity comes along. We are in talks with some. We've been in talks about doing a small group series, like because it's really neat that you have multiple people in these groups and people come and go, so that there's a lot of there's a lot we could do with that. And so we've had some talks about it. Nothing has come. I would do it though. Yes, I would. If we could get the right kind of deal. You know?
Right. Because it seems to me now that you've really kind of learned this market, you know, and that you've learned how to. You probably have a whole list of churches and a whole list of pastors who have been.
Big list of people that have bought as well. I mean, lots, tens of thousands. I mean, it's a lot. It's huge. So yeah, that is challenging. But my next feature is not a faith-based, you know, and so it's like I can say from the producer of small group, but it's just not the same. You know, it's not exactly the same. It would be if I come across the right story. Yes, I would definitely do that because I do, like you said, I have the assets that we can use.
Yeah. I mean, to learn a niche like that is really amazing. Has there been ever any interest from any of the faith-based streamers like PureFlix or Affirm Films? Have you ever spoken to any of those people?
I did. I've spoken with Affirm Films, Rich Peluso. I've spoken with him in depth. They're wanting to do it. They want some more. You know, our film is not like a Bible thumping film. I would say it's not like a hardcore conservative. I mean, it's a dramedy. We laugh. We make fun of ourselves. You know, we wanted to really show in the film how other people see Christians. So let Christians know, like, this is how you're seen. So we do interviews throughout the film. There's a, you know, we have one interview with a trans character and how they, you know, what they think about Christianity. It's really good. It's the actor did such an awesome job on that. And that was one of the things I was concerned when we did the screen testings, like what would happen, you know, how that would. But there were some people, some people, you know, questions why we have it in there, but it was like, that's the whole soul of that's what we want. We want to see, you know, let you know what people think about it. So yeah, some conservative churches wouldn't, you know, that's a deal breaker. But to say, so yes, we are on PureFlix now. We got a PureFlix deal. They're on there. They do edit it though. They edit,
No,
they censor. Yes. Yeah.
really? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is that most filmmakers really don't understand is that this issue with a distributor. So let's say Affirm Films, which is the faith-based arm of Sony Pictures, or Pure Flix, which is one of the major, or perhaps the major faith-based film subscription video on demand site, so that they have their own parameters. Everyone has their own parameters, and so the film needs to fit in those parameters. And it sounds as if for a firm film it would have needed to be a bit more into the Bible stuff for that. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, a little more. And he has an interesting, I got to talk with Rich.
That's fantastic that you got to
and
him.
What they look at, he's got a little system that he does with, but he's like any distributor. They want IP, they want maybe celebrity, but they also want, it to be if it's not strict Bible thumping, but just, it has to be at least like it true to the word kind of,
I see.
Not like Noah, the film Noah, that was completely, a lot of Christian folks hated that movie.
Yes. Yeah, it's always interesting, I think, for filmmakers to, they make films and then later they find out, well, they weren't quite in the market,
Yes.
So, I mean, but it's just that maybe another time you might say, oh, we want to make a Christian film, but we want it to be for Affirm Films,
Right.
or not. I mean, either way.
And I think we did lose some sales because of that. Like we were experimenting a little bit. I mean, it's a faith film and it hits all the spots, but we pushed it a little bit and we laughed. We had fun. I mean, people like even atheists that have seen it, they said that's funny, that's good, it's sometimes almost slapstick, but the writer director, that is his personality. He's a person of faith, but he's funny. He's so funny and entertaining. And yes. he actually he was a writer director and he starred in it too. And I had a big problem with that at the beginning. I was like, oh man, I don't think you can handle all this. It's your first film. But it worked out when we had an actor that was going to be a lead, couldn't make it, that we switched around and it worked out great. He just fantastic.
He was the right one. The right one. So what is this next film that you're making, this not Christian film that you're
not Christian film? It is a thriller. I'm going to have some fun with some suspense and thriller.
You're going all the way.
All the way. But also it's a lower budget. It's a more reasonable budget. And I'm with your help, I'm moneyballing the whole thing. We're figuring out, what do
you mean by moneyballing? I know what you mean, but what can you explain?
Yeah, well, the movie Moneyball is about a baseball team, Oakland A's, and so what they did is they looked at runs and hits, and they purchased players based on that instead of based on like these big names. So what we're doing is we're doing the same thing. We're looking at cast that might not necessarily be huge here, but they may be huge in another country, or they may have a following of some kind. And also just this script is a one location script. I had put out into the universe that I was looking for a one location script, and I read a bunch, and this one came in and it was perfect. It was for me, it held my attention. It has rising tension. It was really good. So we're building the set currently, and it's all in one location, which is so different from the last project that we went everywhere. I mean, it was huge. It's expensive, just moving everything. So,
yeah. So you're going. This is a very interesting thing. It's a very rare filmmaker who says, I spent this much money on the first film, I'm going to spend this much money on the next film. It's a very rare. I have one other client who's doing that, but I think it's very, very smart. And what do you think? So this is a thriller, and one location, but now that you're not going to have this niche that you had, your Christian niche, your pastors, your churches. How are you going to deal with the marketing on this film?
Well, so I've already started marketing the film, and it's not even, we haven't even shot one frame. So what I'm doing is I'm basically using a lead generator online on social media. I've got just a landing page that I'm letting people know, hey, there's a film coming here to Athens. I've started regionally, just with my town. I said, hey, there's a film coming. If you'd like to know more, send us your email address and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on. And, the first couple of weeks, we had hundreds of people signed up. So I have their email list. And now I just send them, once a month, I'll send an email out saying, hey, this is what's going on, and it continues to grow, and actually,
are they all Athens people, do you think? Do you know? Are they all Athens people?
I've done some really low level Facebook ads, and I'm targeting within 50 miles of Athens. So I'm assuming, but also I've got other feelers out there just to get people to this, like my email signature, I'll have,
Yes.
if people click on it, it goes right to this, and just through networking, telling people about it. So yeah, that's how we're starting that. And then we may do a crowdfunding campaign as well, because I like the idea of helping build the audience more, even through that. And now I do have all these email lists, even from the prior one. We can use that for the crowdfunding. We can use it for a lot. So and then also we are going after some name talent. We've kind of built into the script a role that we could shoot out in one day. So, we're going to shoot that one person, whoever that may be. We have a casting director, and I told him, we got this amount of money for one day. We'll fly them in, treat them well, shoot it, and they'll be on the cover. They'll be on the poster. They'll, so that hopefully that will also get some recognition that way.
Absolutely. It's everything in Hollywood.
Yes.
It's everything, those names, even if they're not, A-listers or whatever, that, people who have a following, people who are on some network TV show, people who,
Yes.
are up and coming. Those are all great people. So I'm glad that you're doing that. With the thriller, do you think that that you can also just target a thriller audience? I'm always telling people how I'm a fan of thrillers.
Right.
I'll watch anything if it's a thriller. So how would you're the marketing expert. Oh, we didn't talk about this because you have other businesses, right? And you have a marketing business.
Yes.
You're a marketing expert. So
well,
what other ways do you think you could market and find your audience for this film? I love the Athens idea. And then you have Athens.
Athens is one way. And that's how it grows. And then also, like the crowdfunding, that would help it grow as well. Yeah. But with the niches, what I've been doing is I look at our script and I can identify, multiple niches in it. And so like one example that I use, there's a chef. There's one of the characters is a chef. Well, an actor that we're speaking with is from Liberia. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. There's a Liberian chef. And I started Googling like Liberian cooking and I found some groups on Facebook. And so I joined those groups. One of them has 73,000 members.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is amazing. It's unbelievable. And so, I liked some of their recipes and commented and just got, just kind of built a relationship a little bit, just saying, hey, this is neat, or what about this, or, how did you get into cooking, that kind of thing. And then invariably when they look at me, they'll click on my like Facebook my profile, and then I've got, small group or filmmaker and this, and so they'll ask about that. And I'll say, well, funny enough, I'm doing a film and one of the characters is, from Liberia. He's a Liberian chef. And I'm looking at, I want to get some recipes and maybe do a cookbook, and then they are engaged. And so you answer this. Do you think that they're going to buy that movie when it comes out? If they've got involved and they've got, so what I like to do is find those niches and then find those groups and then just go in and just talk and just, comment and just, get to know them and see what they like and ask for their feedback, not trying to sell anything, not at all. And that's how, you grow like a good core audience, and then of course I have this back end software that I have these lists that I create and I can tag them and I say, oh, well, this person likes faith-based, this person likes Liberian cooking or action or thriller, or this guy's a survivalist, or this guy, and so anytime if I have something that, I want to get out, like if I was doing another film, I could say, oh, well, look, I have a list of, thousands of people in this niche, or, it's going to help me talking with distributors. It's going to help me talking with a lot of folks, or also though, to get it down to, ideally, I'd love to be able to, self-distribute as much as possible. I know we can't get as far reach as some people, but I want to work with a distributor. I want to bring something to the table so that I can say, hey, let's do it, let's do this way. Because it's kind of the wild west out there right now, I think,
Well, I think that the thing is that a lot of filmmakers don't really understand that at this budget level, and probably up to, I don't know, $1 million budget level, the filmmaker really wants to be working with the distributor, with being the operative word, because the distributor will get the film into the outlets where people can get it, but they're not really putting marketing behind that. If they're doing anything, it's minimal, so the filmmaker really needs to be doing the marketing. So what you're saying, I think, is you work with the distributor, let the distributor get the film into places you can't get.
Yes.
For example, I've been saying to people about Tubi. I can't put a film on Tubi. You can't put a film on Tubi. There has to be somebody else who can do that. And then let alone all the other platforms, I think Amazon has gone back to allowing filmmakers to, I can't keep up with Amazon, but anyway, I think they've gone back to letting people put their own film up on Amazon. But, as soon as you start talking about, well, we talked about PureFlix, for example. It's not like, you can say, oh, I'm going to put my film on PureFlix.
Right.
You have to have the distributor do that. But you can market your own films. And then, as you were talking about before, if you hold the rights to be able to sell your own DVDs on your own website, everybody make sure that you do that. Make sure you have the right to sell your own DVDs on your own website. Then you can put whatever marketing efforts you want behind that.
Yes.
So it's definitely a with situation rather than.
Yeah, with for sure. And I think we even on our website, we have a mechanism where you can actually stream it as well. You have to download. It's not ideal because they have to download software and that kind of thing, but it's an option, because we keep so much more of the money for that. But
so long as you have the rights to be able to do that, then you mark it away, and make your own money and keep 100% of your income. But the truth is any distributor should be happy with that, because the more marketing that you're doing and making sales, the more sales will come on the other end as well. It all works together. It's all
correct.
It all works in tandem. So
I'm excited about Tubi. We are just discussing, our distributors talking with them now, because it's kind of like, later in the process for us. So I've heard really good things about Tubi. I've never used them, but I've heard other filmmakers say that they've done very well.
Well, you know, one of the things that's happening on Tubi is that underrepresented audiences are finding work that they've never been able to find elsewhere. So I'm seeing a lot of African-American filmmakers, LGBT filmmakers doing very well on Tubi because their audiences have not been able to find the work they wanted to see. So I don't know, for example, how a faith-based film would do on Tubi. The one filmmaker I know who's African-American who has a whole bunch of films on Tubi. She was telling me that the faith-based film is not doing as well on there as on another platform, which Crackle, I think she said.
Crackle, yeah, yeah.
But all of these are AVOD, you know, they're all advertising supported video on demand. So that's even interesting. So amongst all of the AVOD platforms, you know, which ones are better than another one? And I've been saying this now for a while. One of the most exciting words in distribution right now, I don't see distribution as being the wild, wild west. I see it as being very exciting, is the term non-exclusivity.
Yes.
So if you can have small groups on PureFlix and on Tubi and on Crackle, now we're talking, and now you'll be able to see, well, does it do better here? Does it do better there? Does it do better there?
Yes.
So that for your next film, you'll know a bit more about what you're going to do with your film and how to market it and where to spend your marketing dollars and all of that.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, I'd love to know that, because we could certainly send people to Crackle or to Tubi, depending on which one does better. Yeah.
Right. Right. And right now, you're just going to have to wait a few months to know the answer to that.
Yes.
You know, but if it's on both places, then that's better than if it's only on one, or if it's not on any at all. So, you know, but I think it's just fascinating. And I feel as though filmmakers are just getting more and more opportunity now. And I'm not talking about, you know, Hollywood and all of those people. For them, maybe it's the wild, wild west.
Yeah, well,
what's happening is that independent filmmakers making films at micro budget levels are having opportunities to get their work out in front of the audiences who need to see their films. So to me, that's just opportunity.
Yes, yes. Well, and that's what, you know, we did, what was it? There's a company called Gather Distribution.
Yes.
Are you familiar with them?
Okay.
They do, well, they did. This was pre-pandemic, so I don't know what the status is with them, but they were, it's kind of a theatrical on demand where you can, you register with them, and then if you market to a certain area, people can go on their website and say, I would like a ticket for that movie. And once it gets up to a certain number, then they'll show it the theatrical. And we had some success with that as well. Small success. I could see, I don't know, again, I don't know if they're still around, but if you're really focused and know how to market, and you can hit a certain area, you can fill up theaters that way. It's just, you know, they did have deals with theaters everywhere, and nice theaters, not like just the
I vaguely remember this, and now I don't know what's happened to them. They seem
I think they've gone now online. I think I saw some emails from them that they're kind of doing an online thing now, like more event type stuff.
Right. Does anybody have a question? Jimmy, do you want to ask a question? We have a real marketing expert here. So Cremona, do you want to ask a question? Cremona's always out in the outdoors somewhere.
She is.
This time around, yes. So Chris, it's great to see you here. So I'm one of Joanne's clients too, and we meet with Chris from time to time.
Yes.
Once every 2 weeks.
Yes, nice to see you.
Yes, on a personal level, I was just wondering about the origins of your name, because you know, coming from the part of the world where I come from, you know, it has a strong association with Greece, And you live in Athens, and you used to live in Athens, but yeah, so that's interesting, So like more about the maybe the fundraising strategy for your first movie.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, we Christos is Greek. My mother's Greek, so that's why. That's my father's American. My mother's Greek. But
I didn't catch the Athens thing.
Yes.
Though, I got. Yes, that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So our fundraising, we we knew what we needed to raise, and so we broke it down into basically shares, and we knew how many shares we needed to raise. So we went out and just started, just talking to people saying, hey, we're doing a movie. Would you be interested in doing it? Hearing about it. And so the very first presentation we did, we asked, there was an orthodontist in town. He had this really nice house with a home theater, really nice home theater. And so we said, hey, could we possibly do our pitch at your house, invite some people over, we'll do like pizza and stuff. And he said, yeah, that'd be great, And so we had about, I think, 6 people there. And, we did a little presentation. We had a little video that we'd put together. It was just us. It's kind of like old school crowdfunding, but but then we were there live and doing this dog and pony show kind of thing. But at the end of that night, like we got $100,000 that night. Like,
wow.
And the orthodontist that we weren't even pitching, he bought a couple shares. Like he was like, this is fantastic, this is and all we again, it was faith-based, so it's like people really believe, and they wanted to kind of help spread the word. But and so I think it's really, we were lucky that we got good momentum going, and then we just built from there. And some of the people we invited, they're like business owners that we knew were people of faith, but also that we had an ex-NFL player. If you ever, and I've talked to a lot of producers that they work with ex-NFL players, because they have money to invest if they believe in any way. I've spoken with producers in Atlanta that have gone that route, and not faith films, just other films that they thought would good. Especially like the African American audience. I've talked to several people that have had success there with pitching people. And we just we pitched everybody, and I said, I think the other day, it's like anybody at all, I'll pitch them, because they might not be able to afford it, but they will know somebody, and they kind of want to be involved, and then we would if somebody gets somebody else that invests with us, we will take care of them. Legally you got to be careful about that. But we will take care of them in some form or fashion.
Okay, amazing. It's been a pleasure to watch.
Yes, thank you.
For showing us the great outdoors, Kramina.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
The NFL thing, the American Black Film Festival, which happens every year in Miami, has a specific training program for athletes to get into investing in film.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, they've sort of put that 2 and 2 together and tried to provide some training. Go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry, what was your question?
My question, you talked of Chris, thank you so much for sharing so much and being so open. I do appreciate it. Mine was I feel the question I should be asking, so I'm trying to focus on finishing my film and not getting, I find the marketing bit quite overwhelming in places. But you talked about a lead magnet you created. Can you tell me a bit of what that lead magnet was, and the process in which you got the lead magnet out?
Yes. And I think I have a website called independentfilmmarketing.com. And in there I show you like the exact lead magnet that I used. It doesn't really have to be very complicated. It's just basically I show like a picture of and the title of the film, and then I have like a place for a name, address, email address, and I have the log line, and I'll say, hey, I start regionally, right? Like I say, hey, we're shooting a film in January here in Athens for us. And, if you'd like to find out more, or maybe, look at getting involved in some way, send us, your information. And it's just gone gangbusters. Like everybody is interested in doing it, And so, and then from there, I'll go and try to grow based on the story of the niche and that kind of thing. But I would highly recommend like doing that, like, and in that PDF, I kind of tell little things that we do, I put that email address or that website address everywhere. I even create a QR code. So if I'm in meetings and you're physically there, I can say, hey, scan this thing, and it takes them right to that page, and they can fill it out. And then, but the trick then is or not the trick, but what you need to do once you get that, you will get emails from that, is to stay in touch with them. Just slowly build that relationship. That's the key, because and a lot of times, and these are people I don't know, like even though they're around here, I don't know them. I'm sure I'll probably know one or two but I'm just, people are excited about film still, like we see it every day and we're in it, and we know how unsexy it can be at times, but most people don't. They think, oh, a film, a movie or something. So I start regionally and kind of grow from there.
So just to be clear, what's on the PDF? So what actually is that lead magnet PDF itself? Is it just a picture of people in the film?
No, it's at first it's just the title of the film and the log line. I'm wanting to get people that are interested in that specific, that I say it's a thriller, and I have the log line on there. If you go to athensga.com, that's my exact. I'm sorry, athensgafilms.com.
I was going to say athensga.com. How did you get that?
No, athensgafilms.com. I'm sorry. Athens. I'd love to have athensga. No, athensgafilms.com. It's really simple. It's just it's really nothing, but people around here are signing up like crazy. Now I'll send them a picture of, maybe the set being built, or, if we cast somebody, I'll let them know, hey, this is who we're casting, or, that kind of thing.
Mark, where did that come from? Chris, something that just struck me is it might be a good idea to put Athens in the title of the film.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I'm trying to get that now. Like, I don't think there's enough. I mean, there's 100,000 people in Athens, and probably 30,000 of that may be the University of Georgia students. So I want to be
small. It's too
bigger.
small. It's too small. Yeah. But it's really interesting. Josh Doak made a film in his small town in Kansas, and he called it The Name of the Town. And now, of course, I'm not remembering the name of the film, but if you look in IMDb, it's Josh Doak, D-O-K-E, and made a brilliant, very, very micro budget film in this little town. I would highly recommend watching it. It's called Good Something or Other, and that's it. The title of the film is just that.
Wow, well, I've heard of stories like people that do regionally, like their film is regional, and if it's a small enough budget, I think you could have a lot of success at doing it like that.
Well, the thing is that, what you're talking about with the Athens email strategy is that it can build from there. Goodland, that was the name.
Goodland.
In fact, when I was driving from Miami to Montana, we had our route go through Goodland, so we could pay a little what's that called? Pilgrimage to Goodland and go and like stay in Goodland and be able to say, we were here where the movie was. There ain't nothing in Goodland.
Right. That was it. That's
there is nothing in Goodland. But when you see the film and you just see what an incredibly good job he did with a little tiny bit of money, and that town and everything he did with the town, it's really brilliant, and it did well, you know, it did well.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that he had a lot of help. I'm sure he had a lot of help from people.
Well, that's it. That's it. Everybody gets involved. My term for it is the small town advantage.
Yes. Yes. Well, most people here know that I'm a producer, and
right.
and we just built a $60 million major studio here. And so there's going to be bigger projects coming here, I'm sure, and starting in January. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
being
having
a
me.
fantastic guest. It's been absolutely fabulous, and really you've shared the most fabulous, incredible marketing value information, and good luck with your next film, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Hold on, Chris, while I